How can I help you?
Hello, my name is Robert Burgos. I've been a conservative supporter since the PC Party and the Alliance merged, but I live in Guelph, and I read in the paper today that there was some problem with a polling station set up at the university.
Right.
I have read the newspaper, but I am a conservative supporter, and the newspapers, they are not, how do you say, they do not paint a nice picture. I was just wondering if I could get some more information.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, I mean, there was, what it was, there was an advanced, my understanding of it is there was advanced polling, set up, on campus. It was done the other day. And what it was, so, um, okay, there we go. Um, the returning officer for Elections Canada, so an Elections Canada official in Guelph, didn't get proper authorization um, made to run this, and therefore some of the rules weren't followed properly. Like the reason why that it was questioned was because the scrutineers from the Conservative Party were not allowed to be there for some reason, and there was partisan material like signs and things on site that is in breach of Elections Canada rules. And so what they actually determined was that Elections Canada actually determined that they released a statement confirming that it wasn't properly authorized, and they're going to do their best to try and to keep it in place. So it was something that the returning officer for Guelph made a couple of mistakes by the way that my understanding from the recent statement made by Elections Canada. Because the original concern was that that it was advanced polling that was set up sort of informally, and it really didn't meet all the requirements. It wasn't a specific concern of being against a particular party or anything like that. It was just that the scrutineer was banned from being on there, and they were just a basic electoral right, I suppose. And then there's also liberal material present in the polling area, which are these are things you can't have. But I'm not sure of the details. I know Elections Canada recently made a statement just within the last couple of hours about it, and they took some responsibility. The returning officer took responsibility for the event, and basically noted that it wasn't. They missed a couple of rules there. So
Yeah, that was my understanding, that it wasn't they were complacent in setting it up. But I also heard from my neighbor that it was the Green Party that set up the polling booth.
I don't know. I'm not sure specifically. Um, I hadn't heard that. I just heard it was university in conjunction with the returning officer for Elections Canada. I'm sure it may have been by recommendation of a particular candidate, but I don't know. I hadn't heard that specifically. All I knew was that it was
Yeah,
you know
it is a bit concerning to me, because I feel that the university could be involved in some conspiracy to silence the conservative voice on campus.
yeah,
And
no, that's right. I mean, that was the main concern from us as well, was that it was that, well, if we have no problem with, certainly, we want as many people to vote as possible, but it has to be. That's why Elections Canada has to, because it just can't be partisan, right? It can't be created or endorsed by a
that,
particular party.
it is, I'm very glad you're saying this, because it is the young people that they are breeding socialists at the university. I swear it. And
Okay.
this it is deeply upsetting to me, because I have to live next door to the university, and all it is this young people with protest and disrespect. But I encourage them to vote. But if it is done in such a way that it is just promoting the socialist agenda, then I cannot stand for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I mean, I don't think that was run. It was just basically a shoddily run polling station. And that was what the concern was, that they just didn't follow certain rules that are certainly important to to election, to make sure everything's fair. So it's news to me that a particular party was more involved than others, other than as I said, I'd heard that there was signage from certain parties on site, which is not allowed in polling stations. But it's good. But it is certainly that's why there was that it was questioned. So that listen, we're in breach of some rules here. Sounds like you might know. You may have heard a couple of the things. I haven't seen too much of the local news on that today. But I know that it was a big story for us today, and so it looks like it's been Elections Canada has done well to step in and to take some responsibility and to fix it up, clean it up a little bit. So
Yeah, that is. I appreciate your party doing due diligence. Are the student votes? Do you know if they are going to count? Because you should oppose to have those votes counted, because they are illegitimate votes.
I know that was what the original claim was, and I believe Elections Canada is evaluating it, and they're going to make a decision. So it's in Elections Canada's court, and by my guess, I don't know. I don't want to make any commitment. My guess would be that considering the fact that they've admitted to some wrongdoing, and then not just not wrongdoing, but maybe just some they didn't follow all the rules, then my guess would be that it is going to be adjusted or maybe not taken into account, but that will be determined shortly. But okay, so
Yeah.
I don't know specifically, but I know that is certainly what they've requested, that these results not be counted because of these rules, these breaches.
Yes, that is what I was hoping for. But is it possible that the Conservative Party can take legal action against the Elections Canada for this, because it is a disaster?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure they're considering other options on this one, because it's this is. But I think it was just. I can certainly let the campaign team know that this is a suggestion coming from here. That's one of the things that we do. So I don't know how far they're going to take it, but I'm sure they're going to make sure it gets righted.
What was especially disconcerting to me was that the CBC and the Globe and Mail, they just make a statement without any clarification, because my neighbor is a student at the university, and I talked to him about what happens there, but it is conflicting with what I am reading in the newspapers.
Right. Yeah. No, I think the original accounts that came out were pretty negative, and then it was like, oh well, they're trying to shut down some sort of student polling station, and that was the way it was originally reported, which certainly was not the case. I mean, they just when a scrutineer shows up, someone representing the Conservative Party, and they're not allowed on site, then there's some questions raised there, right? I mean, this is obviously not. Obviously, some rules are being followed, and that's why they reported it, and then so now that's why it's become the story that it has. But I think the original reporting of it was more that, oh wow, they're trying to to block some sort of polling booth. So which was not the case. I mean, they certainly want them to vote. Just we want to make sure that they're voting in a fair, unbiased location, right?
Yeah, that was my concern, my major concern.
So I appreciate that, and thank you for the call, because this morning we had a few calls, and they were all sort of on the other side. It was kind of like, oh, why would you guys do this? And then, as I said, now that Elections Canada has come out with a statement saying that they've accepted their responsibility, then obviously the story changes a little bit, right?
Yeah, that is how I felt as well, because I did not read the statement that you are talking about yet, but I am going to go on the computer to look at it.
Okay, and fantastic. So thank you for your call and support, and I mean we appreciate it, and I'm sure that the story's not done yet, and I'm sure in the coming days there will be some more news on this. But thank you for the call.
Yep. Good evening.
Okay, thank you. You too.
There you have it, guys. It's everyone's fault. See? Non-partisan.